the future, and that's where we are. So let Chris jump in from here.
Sure. And thanks again. So, yeah, my background for the most part for the past 25 years has been corporate finance and M&A for technology companies. I grew up and was raised in New York and did the whole Wall Street thing for a while. Worked with companies like a major hedge fund, Fisher Francis, Trees and Watts. While I was there, they had about 20 billion under management, and before they sold themselves to UBS, they had 50 billion under management. From Fisher Francis, I moved to Lehman Brothers in downtown New York and World Financial Center. Worked there in their technology, investment banking group for a short while. Got courted out of Lehman Brothers to turn around and restart a internet communications firm back in the mid-90s. Did that very successfully and became one of the fastest growing companies in New York. And we were also Deloitte & Touche Fast 50 company, I believe 2 years in a row, if not 3. And then been more or less after the dot-com bubble burst, went right back into technology, M&A, and finance, and have an aggregate of about $750 million in completed transactions. Most of those which being smaller, lower middle market businesses with deal sizes ranging between 5 and 50 million. And pretty much have been doing that ever since. And then got tapped to look at Fernhill more recently, about 6-7 months ago, and finally had a chance to meet with Marc and a few of the other people involved in the company, and really looking at what's inside, what are the moving parts we have to take care of, and figured out this was a fairly clean operation and not a lot of heavy lifting to do. It was just a matter of putting some shape and form and plan in place and executing on that, and got involved, bought out the majority control shareholder so I can kind of put my money where my mouth is and get more deeply involved and roll up my sleeves and get it done. So that's kind of brings us to where we are today.
It's great to hear that. I see why Marc wanted to bring you in, and your experience really speaks for itself, but also that you got to Fernhill and like the team there so much that you're jumping in with both feet. So it's nice, we can tell your team is excited about it, just like we are.
Yeah,
right.
I'm excited about this.
All right, so I'm going to start with the first question, related to a press release that was put out in June, I believe. You'd stated that you announced updated growth, acquisition plans, and a path to NASDAQ listing. So, elephant in the room, kind of. How do you plan to reach NASDAQ? And do you have a timeline for when you would want to do that to increase the share price? How are you planning on changing the share structure in the future?
So there's actually several questions in there to unpack,
right,
and be more than happy to do that. So yes, we do certainly plan to be on NASDAQ. Our goal is to do it within the next 12 months or so, certainly by the end of 2022. I personally believe the possibility is to get there sooner and do everything possible to make that happen. In terms of qualifying for NASDAQ, there are 3 basic main methodologies to qualify for NASDAQ. I think it's the equity method, the revenue or net income method, and I believe it's the shareholders equity method. So in that respect, we're going to pursue any one of those that we can possibly qualify for as soon as possible. Mm-hmm. And at that time that we're actually going for a listing, we'll determine, what moves we need to make in terms of the share structure and things like that. I don't want to project or try to predict what we're going to do with the stock or stock price or reverse splits or anything else along those lines. I can't do that. We can't say that. We're not in a position to predict the future. But all I know is, when we come to that time, we're going to make the decisions and do what we need to do to make sure we qualify and get uplisted.
Because it is a decision you have to make, at the moment with what you have, what the options available to you are, and
right.
It's hard to predict that.
Exactly, and there are some things that we can certainly work towards. We have to build up shareholders' equity. We have to build revenue. We have to build net income. All those are part of the qualifying standards for getting onto NASDAQ. There's also other things like corporate governance we have to take care of. We also have to take care of getting our financials audited by a PCAOB auditor and registering those audits with the SEC. So there's a number of things we need to do, all of which we have in a plan laid out pretty clearly in front of us. And it's just a matter of going through the steps and going through the process of taking care of those things and just kind of ticking off the list and showing up on NASDAQ's door and saying, okay, we're ready, let's go.
Right. Because, obviously it was a good day today in the market, and I think everyone's preference, the first choice would be to just let this continue and get to NASDAQ naturally. But, the options for reverse split or any other method of getting on the NASDAQ, that's not primary choice, but it's an option, and the goal is just to get to NASDAQ by any means necessary, right?
That's correct. And,
right.
and I will say, if by chance we do have to reverse splitting to get on a national listed exchange like NASDAQ is a best case scenario.
Right. Yeah. Correct. It's not. You're not just reverse splitting for the hell of it. You're reverse splitting to gain access to an incredibly larger market, right? And a lot more money.
Yeah, we become a listed security on a national exchange.
Great.
Yes, and we're confident that the shareholders want us to be on NASDAQ. So
yes.
So I think it's a good thing for everybody.
Mm-hmm.
We have to get there.
Agreed. Great answer. Thank you both. So maybe this would be a good question for people that are already familiar with FERN, but especially for people that maybe aren't as familiar. If one of you could speak to, in a general broad sense, what is your kind of grand vision for Fernhill over the next year to year and a half? What do you, if you could put it in a few sentences, what do you want the company to be about or be known for in a year from now?
So I'll take I'll answer that first, and I'll let Marc to finish that up. So, first off, just to lead off from the last question, NASDAQ listing, that's number one.
Mm-hmm.
Secondly, probably do another one or two key acquisitions to help really build the shareholders' equity value as part of the NASDAQ qualification process and really ramp up our revenue to a much larger level. So I think knocking down one or two more acquisitions would be fitting for us. And then just having that broader base of visibility on a national exchange like NASDAQ, giving us broader access to new investors, institutional investors, a broader trading community, and being able to really help dictate our future going forward. I think once we have that type of stance and position in the marketplace, I think that's really helpful. And then in terms of what we stand for, I don't know if you really realize it, but we really refined our focus in how we describe ourselves as a company. And if you look at the last press release or two, it's really defined as just simply, we're focused on building and acquiring companies that are in the crypto and blockchain space that optimize, automate, and simplify the whole blockchain and crypto ecosystem. And so we really want to kind of lead off with that and be known for that. Optimization, automation, and simplification of crypto.
Great. I was hoping you'd say that, because that's my favorite thing about FERN. Obviously, crypto is a hot topic, and it's still in its baby stages. And so a company like FERN getting in on the ground floor and just expanding the portfolio in a way that kind of gives a complete package, right? That's definitely something to emphasize.
Yeah, and just to add to that, along with what Chris said, and when you said, we actually are really, we the last few months we've really been focusing and fine tuning, and it makes sense to really focus on one thing instead of being all over the map. So we're really focused now on crypto, blockchain, from mining to trading and all other sorts of acquisitions we're looking at. But it's overall in that crypto blockchain space, which I think we all agree that it's a good space to be in right now. So that's That's where we
It's
are.
a good space. It's going to be a good space to be in for the next 20 years.
Yeah.
Yes.
It's starting. Yeah. That's what we think.
You know, I think a lot of people in this call probably think it's a good space to be in forever. So, yeah, great to hear that, you know, the vision that you have, both for, you know, in a logistical business sense of getting onto NASDAQ and opening the financial doors, and then, you know, also just the, you know, like the corporate statement of what you're all about. So that's kind of answers another question that I had on here of if we expect we'll see more acquisitions in the future. It sounds like it's definitely in the plan to continue building that ground floor with acquisitions in the blockchain or crypto space.
Yeah. Acquisitions are certainly in the roadmap. I mean, we also are, of course, very much open to and like the idea of building from within and, you know, creating new technology that we can launch and, you know, own and control it from the onset. But, you know, just the same, it's great and it really helps enhance and create value very quickly when you can acquire a company that's fully operational, has totally vetted technology, and you have clients creating revenue and profitability right out of the gate. So we like both methods.
Yep. And speaking of clients too, it's a great segue into the next one is, how do you plan on increasing the number of customers and users that are already there, and is that, you know, tied into your overall marketing plan? Will it be, you know, I guess what I'm trying to ask is, are you going to bring these acquisitions under one umbrella, or will they each kind of be their own service that is treated separately, or as far as marketing and customer base is concerned?
Yes, that's a great question. So, and there's actually a couple pieces in there. So, number one, we plan on, you know, regarding Perfect Line, we plan on, you know, relaunching the website soon, as we mentioned in our most recent press release, and the hiring of Nathaniel. So that's in, you know, process now. So we reskinning, relaunched the Perfect Line with a new, fresh look to it, new logo and things like that. And then from there, we're going to start, you know, really kind of going down a multifaceted, multi-channel marketing program that leverages, you know, social media, influencers, you know, press release and posting in various, you know, groups and forums that are relative to crypto mining. So we can get some visibility and recognition there and have people, you know, kind of join on board with us and look at things. And then in terms of the acquisitions and looking at, you know, a common thread, you know, we really want to focus on our kind of credo of, you know, optimizing, automating, and simplification. So any acquisition we do is it has to have or support at least one of those threads, hopefully multiple threads of those, and that, you know, we have a common theme going forward that we can tie those all together. And, you know, if you're in one platform, you can easily access the other platform because there's a reason to do so and it creates value. Like, for instance, if you're in, you know, one of our future business for Perfect Mine is, you know, if you're mining, you know, various tokens and crypto coins, what's the next thing you're going to do when you have mined it? You're going to trade it. So
right.
We want to give you the ability right from Perfect Mine to go from Perfect Mine into a trading venue that helps you, you know, simplify and optimize your trading capabilities. And that's what this next acquisition about is, a software platform that optimizes and automates trading. And I also want to be very clear also, it's not an exchange. It's a software platform that connects multiple exchanges and just gives you the best price execution capabilities and also algorithmic trading capabilities.
That's where that smart routing comes in.
Correct.
Right. And so I don't know if, and just so everyone knows, that is what Chris just mentioned. There is from a press release at the end of August that this acquisition is targeted to close around November 15th or before then. So do you think you're still on track, you know, to close it out by the end of the year?
Yeah, we certainly will close that out by the end of the year. Our track is to close it no later than November 15th, and if we can close it sooner than that, we certainly will.
Perfect. All right, so that is, you know, you kind of the acquisitions are purposeful with the intent of forming an ecosystem all under the Fernhill brand, really, right? And,
right. Yeah, that's correct.
and allowing access to crypto for people that aren't gonna sit there and figure out how to set up their own Bitcoin node and get a Raspberry Pi and deal with all that, right?
Right.
Yes.
Exactly.
All right. So you had just talked about the marketing plan. It sounds pretty well thought out in my opinion, and wondering to go along with that if you have any expectations for or timelines for your growth and entering into this space as a big name that people recognize.
So, I think once we do the relaunch here of Perfect Mind, I think that gives us some better footing to really kind of go forward and start making a name for ourselves and being a lot more, I'll say, outwardly about who we are and what we do. I also think there are several things on our product roadmap that will also help us get there, and new features and functionality that we currently don't have, that when we do will certainly make us one of the few companies available to do such a thing. And so things like right now we're upgrading our infrastructure to handle a much higher load and to be more secure and things like that. So we're doing all the kind of blocking and tackling now. And leveraging, Amazon AWS versus the current infrastructure that's in place and that it was built on. So that's a big thing that's a pretty heavy lift that we're going through right now with Nathaniel, but we're getting, making some great headway there. But then also kind of adding some of the new, I'll say, features and functionality of the roadmap that we have planned, and things that we've actually mentioned in the past that we were very interested in, like, green mining and creating a, green mining cloud, or, cloud mining through a green facility. Things like that, adding to it, and other various features and functions that are not currently in there, I think would be very beneficial for us to be a big player in the market.
Yeah. Speaking of, you just got my mind thinking of this when you just said that Perfect Mine is set to allow you access to mine any major cryptocurrency. Is that true, or just a select few?
So right now it's set up for GPU and CPU mining. Not all tokens or crypto coins are mined in that fashion. A lot of like Bitcoin, for instance, is mined via ASICs. So part of our product roadmap is to add the ASIC functionality to Perfect Mine, so then you can mine any ASIC-driven crypto, which creates, now we can cover the entire universe of cryptos with the ASIC mining functionality.
There is another crypto that I think people might be familiar with. It's marketed as the green version of Bitcoin, called Chia. That uses storage space to mine. So maybe that's not on your roadmap yet, or maybe my understanding of it is wrong and it uses CPU to mine it. But is that on your radar now? Any kind of proof of storage coins?
So we do. So like I said, our basis for mining right now is on CPU and GPU. So inherently we do have that functionality. It's just a matter of us getting the updated algorithms with any type of rig setup and publishing on the platform. And that's one thing we'll be doing as well. We'll be updating available algorithms to publish.
Oh, great! I see.
What the rig setup is. We also are selective to the tokens that we want to represent and support, because if we're supporting a token that doesn't have a large market cap, or it has very little trading and liquidity on a regular basis, it's really not worth pursuing and putting the resources towards. So we really want to go with coins that have a viable market, that's expanding, that has a true use and utility and value involved in it, that there's an active user group that makes it worthwhile to mine it and trade it.
You answered my question there and stepped forward ahead too, because that was what I was wondering how you're going to pick which ones are mineable, and it sounds like the hardware is like the framework, and once the hardware is in place, it's just a matter of getting the algorithms and software to enable different coins, right?
Right. Exactly.
Perfect.
And it's also kind of, if you think, to create an interesting analogy, if you think of the old gold mining days, we're basically selling the pans and the shovels and the picks for people to go out and mine. But if you're in an old mine that has been emptied out and cleared out and there's nothing else left, why bother mining there and putting resources towards it? So we're looking at the new gold areas where you can find gold, and we're giving you the resources to mine that gold in the most efficient, optimal manner as possible.
Wonderful. It's great to hear. You're focused on the gold, the cryptocurrencies that are going to stay around and hold their value, and you're not looking for to open the door for all of them, because inevitably most of the cryptocurrencies that come out today end up failing, and it seems like a bit of a waste of time to deal with everything.
I mean, and just to give you an instance, we evaluated all the tokens that we can potentially mine through Perfect Mine, and I think, Marc, how big was that list? Like 300 tokens?
Yep.
100 tokens?
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, if we look at what's being mined and what it's being used for, there's probably maybe a dozen tokens that are really being mined at this time.
Mm-hmm. Right.
And the reason we like Perfect Mine was the perfect acquisition for us is because it already had a lot of unique properties itself, but it's upgradable in the ways we were discussing to eventually mine all the top coins, and it also will have synergies with some of our upcoming acquisitions. So it was a great first acquisition. That's why we're really excited about everything coming together right now.
That's again another great transition into some questions we have about Perfect Mine. The first one I think we already answered was, do you plan on updating the Perfect Mine website or software? And it sounds like, Marc, that's exactly what you just said, that it's scalable and not modular, that's the wrong word, but upgradable past it from where it's at now. Yep. So you're already working on that and modernizing it. So maybe right now in the current state, Perfect Mine's current state, can you discuss a bit about what the current user base is on Perfect Mine, and if you've seen that change at all or increase since you've acquired them?
So our we're not going to give exact numbers per se, but there's been, I think, well over 11 or 12,000 downloads of the Perfect Mine platform, and there's several thousand cards registered to the Perfect Mine platform. So it's fairly representative of a nice pool of users. But that really, since we've acquired it, and even before we acquired it, it's been fairly, there really hasn't been any growth whatsoever.
Right.
That's why it was a unique acquisition for us, and that's why we picked it up on literally for pennies on the dollar. Because there really wasn't much growth involved in it. And it was literally the perfect acquisition to make happen, because the growth potential and the fact that there was zero marketing being done, nothing was done to really upgrade the infrastructure for probably over a year and a half, 2 years.
Mm-hmm.
There was nothing being done to really update things and really be outwardly towards customer-facing activities, and it was just a ripe opportunity that literally fell in our lap, and we were like, wow, we need to get this done. And so that's what kind of brought that around.
So sometimes that's how it happens. It just kind of, the opportunity just comes to you and you got to take it. And that's amazing, really, because I think that the potential for growth in Perfect Mine is completely accelerated by the fact that you're bringing it under an umbrella of other products that synergize with it. Because by itself, the potential is a lot lower than when you consider to what you have done and bringing it in and trying to integrate it with this upcoming platform. And I'm sure new things that we'll hear about.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Well, yeah, one of the interesting things about being a public company is that we'd like our shareholders to become users too. It's there's such a huge market. You can see all the followers we have. People are just getting really excited about this, and so I think it's just a great way to scale. Have a lot of buzz out there, a lot of upcoming news releases, and again, just a great shareholder base right now.
Yeah, definitely, and we've got a great turnout today. Glad, and I think we counted 120 earlier. Someone's keeping track of the peak counts, so we'll include that in the tweets, I'm sure. So since Perfect Mind was already established before you bought it, I'm assuming they had their own rigs already on site.
So we really aren't doing a whole lot of mining right now. We do have a rig set up to do really for testing and to really kind of test the new technology that we're implementing and test certain coins and see how they work and see what kind of yield performance we can get out of it. So that's kind of where we are now, but that also kind of leads us to where we're going to grow towards the future and open up things like green mining pools and cloud mining on a green platform and things like that. That's where we think we would like to take it. We think there's some great utility there. We think there's also a fantastic revenue opportunity there, and couple that with the Perfect Mind platform and what it does, just makes perfect sense.
Right. So if there's no rigs besides this test rig, it sounds like, then is it all the mining that's already being done with the user base? Is that through a cloud server?
Yeah, so basically we're a software layer that gets added between a mining pool and a user or their rig, and we help literally simplify, optimize, and automate their mining operations.
Oh, right. Yeah, you don't need it's separate.
We're not reliant upon equipment and updating equipment and maintaining equipment to do that. We provide a software layer that helps manage that for them, helps optimize it for them. Our algorithms are performing at a much higher basis than you would otherwise use to operate and mine a specific token or coin. And we also help with overclocking and other settings with a mining rig where you can overpower it in certain areas. You can set it for certain times a day. You get alerted to any issues that may occur with it. You can reboot it remotely. I mean, there's so many different things you can do with Perfect Mind. It's a really incredible tool. And when we kind of looked under the hood and saw what was there and where we can take it and where it can be placed within the market, far and above just mining crypto, we saw it was a really ripe opportunity.
So then is Fernhill using Perfect Mind themselves to mine any cryptocurrency?
Yeah, like I said, we have the one mining rig right now in place. That's where
besides the testing rig, it's not you're not mining for the purpose of collecting coins as assets, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So then a similar question. I'm not sure if you can answer this one, but we're wondering if Perfect Mind owns any cryptocurrency already, or if that is just a future plan to mine for yourself.
Future plan.
All right. So one last question we have about Perfect Mind before we go on to the next topic is, did the team at Perfect Mind before the acquisition, are any of them still around, being brought in to Fernhill, and if so, will they, how large of a role do you see them playing in the future growth and development of that platform?
So regarding Perfect Mind, there really wasn't much of a team other than the original founder and developer of the platform itself. And he is, I'll say, on contract as a consultant as we need him going forward to help with any new development initiatives or integration issues we may have. We're on the phone with him dealing with stuff 2-3 times a week still. since the acquisition. So there's still a good friendly relationship, and I'll say he is a part of the team, but right now it's in a consulting capacity. He's pretty busy with other ventures, but he's also made himself available to us as needed on an ongoing basis.
Wonderful. So, take it as it goes. Maybe he'll play a bigger role. But doesn't sound like that's the plan yet.
Correct. We have other spots to fill in the organization, both within Fernhill and in Perfect Mind, and with the other acquisition that comes with a full team on board. So, we have a lot of initiatives there with bringing new people on board.
Great. So, let's see, which one do I want to ask next? This one's pretty unrelated to everything else, but a quick question on if there's any plans for merchandise or anything like that. I'm sure everyone here would buy a FERN t-shirt if they could.
Yes, we love merch. Me and Marc were actually looking that up recently and going back and forth on it. We definitely want to do some merchandise. We love the Fernhill brand. We think, shirts, hats, and hoodies be great to have. And that is certainly something we'll plan on putting out soon. And then we'll certainly let you know when that's ready. But we definitely want to do that. We think it's a cool idea.
And we will say that the name FERN is kind of a happy accident.
Yep.
It was named that for years before we came on board. But FERN is a great plant that helps clean the air, and that's a big part of our initiative too. We're into the Crypto Climate Accord, which is about making sure that people use sort of the less burning of energy. Electric, less power, more green mining. So FERN is good, and I think it makes a great logo, great hat, great T-shirt. And so we're looking at that right now.
That's I noticed that too, that Fernhill wasn't named because of the green crypto stuff, and just what a nice coincidence for you guys. So you're definitely your vision is to accelerate crypto accessibility and adoption, but by being a leader in green crypto and doing it efficiently, right? And so this is focus number one of FERN, is to drive the green crypto space forward, right? And are there any other kind of other smaller goals, that subdivisions of that fall under the same umbrella that you could elaborate on? It's kind of a vague question, but really just looking to see, green crypto is number one, the headline, and how do you plan to kind of fill that out?
That's
go ahead, Chris. You can jump in.
That's an interesting question. We can probably talk for hours on that subject alone. Green mining is probably the first part of the umbrella that we would fall under, and that's coincides directly with the Crypto Climate Accord that we joined as a signatory member a few months back. But I think also just creating the tools and the resources and accessibility to help support that is really kind of where that all comes together. And we think things like Perfect Mind and the acquisition we have coming up can help make that happen and provide people different access points and resources where they can do that effectively and efficiently, where otherwise they would be expending a lot more energy by way of additional compute power, by way of time, by way of resources, where if we help automate something or we help do it through a green mining facility, it's just really supporting that broader initiative. And that goes to us as well, where we would either develop or acquire other technologies that can help support that type of activity.
So it kind of sounds like one aspect of this would be as consultants to other businesses and that are in the crypto space to optimize their process and save them money and maximize their profits, right?
I would say not necessarily consultants, but more so we provide the tools and the technology.
Right. So selling to them by just demonstrating the benefits of it. That's what I have in mind by consulting, by just suggesting, you should do it this way because blah blah blah.
Right. Yeah. So with anything that we'll be launching in any technology that we bring to market or acquire, there's going to be some educational aspects around it and why it's a solution that works and makes sense, and also how it provides additional benefits and helps support certain initiatives. So with that, yes, there will be some, I'll say, consultative selling approach towards that, or advisory type role where we're coming in and evaluating an organization, providing the tools that are needed to help optimize what they're doing.
So then, wondering, do you plan on having like a dedicated knowledge base or education center on your website or something that people that are interested in mining or just crypto in general can go to and learn a bit of the basics, but really why Fernhill's products are different?
So yes, and that's actually part of our broader marketing plan for Perfect Mine, for instance. So one of the big things in areas that we feel can really help propel our growth and recognition in the marketplace is providing a lot of educational tools, videos, articles, reports, what have you, that discuss and go around various topics on mining various cryptocurrencies and tokens. And so that creating a content base, being a resource for the industry or for anyone interested, is something we certainly plan on doing.
Great. Yeah, that's I think a big thing in crypto that hardcore cryptocurrency enthusiasts don't appreciate, the fact that this is still totally new to the majority of people on the world, that they've heard of cryptocurrency, but they really have no idea what's going on here. And so a big emphasis on education is necessary to even get people to pay attention at this point, but eventually for them to know what makes Fernhill's product special. Right now it's just how do we get people into the crypto space, it feels like, and then that kind of educational base will set you up to go forward past that as well.
Right. And just I want to just like the internet, crypto is where the internet was in the mid 90s, I believe. Mm-hmm. The internet was around actually for a good 25 years before everyone found out about it in 95. The only reason people found out and could use it was because the proper tools were put in place with the Mosaic browser. Without that browser, it was a command line interface on a black and white screen or whatever. So when you have the proper tools in place that help simplify and optimize and automate things, gives people the ability to go places and do things they haven't been able to do before. We want to be that tool provider.
Yep. I love that you compared it to the early days of the internet, because that's really where we're at right now with cryptocurrency. And personally, the way I see it is cryptocurrency is not going back in the box anytime soon. It's either going to succeed and continue to be adopted, or just completely fail and no one's ever going to talk about it again. But we're past that point. It really feels like there's too much being built around it already, and companies like Fernhill here on the ground floor.
I totally agree.
Great.
A lot of my friends sometimes will say to me, the ones that don't understand crypto at all will say, I don't understand how crypto has any value. And I say to them, usually, I don't understand how the US dollar has any value.
Exactly. Yeah. It's hard for people to wrap their head around, because I feel like they just go straight to, but that's a dollar. Yeah. And they don't, because people haven't even, growing up with fiat currency, you don't even realize that it's all just built on trust, and none of it none of it is real. And so it could be a piece of paper, it could be a rock, it could be a digital asset on a blockchain. It really doesn't matter. It's just, what do we call money? And that's at the end of the day, the best money will win, I believe. And fiat has been, it was a good solution when we needed it, but now that we know that cryptocurrency exists and it does so many other things.
And crypto is sort of at an early stage of being money, and it's going to keep growing until it is, widely accepted all around the world.
Right. Yep. And it's not a straight road to get there. As anyone that's been following Bitcoin since it started 10 years ago should know that it's been almost impossibly difficult and it's really impressive that crypto is even where it's at right now. It still feels like that was really fast, how quickly it caught on in the last 10 years, and especially even most of it really started like 4 years ago. It feels like not a whole lot was going on until 2017.
Yep.
Okay. So you both clearly are very experienced and understand cryptocurrency, and you've mentioned Perfect Mine as that software service, and then the upcoming platform that allows you to trade your cryptocurrency. Are there any other kind of target softwares or businesses, like as a concept, not specific companies, but any other software as a service type things that you are looking to acquire to help implement that further?
We'll just say that we're looking at a number of opportunities that will complement where we currently are and where we're targeting to be in terms of being part of that crypto and blockchain ecosystem and providing the tools to help simplify and automate and optimize it.
All right, so I'm sure you've got your ideas, but that's your business plan. You don't want to give it away until it's happened. So
Plus we also want to also stay focused on the mission at hand, where we really want to build Perfect Mine and get that to a much higher level. And there's a lot of work to be done there. We also have a pretty awesome acquisition target in our sights that we got to take down too in the next couple months. So
one thing at a time.
Not necessarily one thing at a time. We can do a couple things at a time, but we also don't want to overload ourselves and get our focus off the ball. Then I've actually seen companies make all these great acquisitions, but they didn't do a great job in integrating them and operating them and making sure that they're stabilized fully and on a path of being self-sustaining. And they ultimately, cratered and fell apart. And I don't want to do that. Over the years of being in investment banking and finance and M&A, I've seen how deals are done where it rolls great and people take a very methodical approach to making acquisitions and not rushing it and being very purposeful with what they're doing. And I've also seen groups where they just kept on lobbing on acquisitions and they end up imploding because they can't manage it all and they didn't integrate it all well enough to do that. So,
and maybe they don't even complement each other. You're entering to two entirely different spaces with acquisitions that you don't need necessarily.
Right. It's very funny that you say that because in the very beginning of all this and looking at various acquisitions, there was actually quite a few on the list. And Marc and I were talking look, a lot of these just don't fit with where we're looking at, where we're looking to take Fernhill, and we basically took a chunk off the list right out of the gate because it just wasn't where we wanted to be, and it didn't naturally fit with who we are as a company.
Right.
So being purposeful about what we do and how we go about things, I think is very important, and ultimately it's going to help us get where we need to be without hurting ourselves too much.
It sounds like what you're saying is that those kind of companies that got trimmed off, maybe if you were rushing and not really being intentful about which companies you're picking. Maybe on the surface level, they do look like they fit into your business plan, right? And that's why taking your time is better, because as you dig in, you wouldn't want to find any of that out, that it's not such a good fit after you've already acquired them, obviously.
Yeah. Right. And I mean, if you also look at the broader definition of what Fernhill was a couple of months ago, where we were doing, mobile apps and, green technology and solar and this and that, that led us down several different rabbit holes. And once we said we want to focus on crypto, that really helped us dial things in and really place our time and efforts on where they really needed to be, and was much more purposeful in what we did. So that really helped.
That's really encouraging, I think, to hear for everyone here that these acquisitions, these press releases that are coming out, and the one we'll hear about later this year, this isn't just it's not just fluff. It's not here with no plan. It's all part of an overarching business vision, really. And I can tell from this call already that you have a complete plan to put all this in place, and the pieces. You've got the outline already kind of in your head, and you're just looking for the right pieces. And that is, I think, not enough companies do it that way.
I think one thing we can mention, we did mention in a press release, a couple press releases ago, that one thing we are looking to that is right in our wheelhouse, right in this space also is NFT marketplace. We've been exploring lots of different options, like Chris sort of mentioned earlier, whether we're building it or partnering, but we've come a long way, and we're very excited about that. Obviously, it's a booming market, and we want to be a part of it, and hopefully we'll have some announcements about that in the near future.
All right. Stay tuned, everyone. Make sure you're following Fernhill on Twitter so you can see that. So I got a few more questions until I'm gonna open it up for some questions from the audience. I already have one from a very enthusiastic investor here, and also I'll ask that after I finish these last few up on the sheet I sent you. So I know you can't give too many details about the new acquisition that's slated for November, but can you speak in any way to how this acquisition or other ones, even the Perfect Mind one, we know how that one's been funded, but do you plan on doing the same way to finance the rest of the acquisitions?
Yeah, so we're currently speaking with a number of different investment groups to help finance the acquisitions and growth of the company. So that's basically how we're planning on doing that. As you saw, our kind of latest, I'll say, announcements or filings, we have received interim funding from a few groups that are very friendly to Fernhill, and of course we thank them dearly for their continued support of us. But we are talking to a wide range of other groups at this time to help support the continued growth in our plans with growing both Perfect Mind and making the acquisition.
Great. Really, that's another encouraging answer. That that's a lot of work in itself. It's just networking and marketing yourself to attract them and get the money that you need to keep growing your company. So it sounds like you'll be able to secure some pretty nice acquisitions in the future if you keep that up. Every acquisition kind of helps your case to secure financing for the next acquisition, right?
Correct.
Yeah. So for again, for any acquisition, you had said earlier that you're keeping your mind open to any options that get you to NASDAQ, but is there a possibility for an acquisition to happen under reverse merger or SPAC?
No.
All right.
Now, I just want to be very clear with no on that, because for us, a reverse merger, we would lose control.
Right.
And the shareholders, as you stand today, would be diluted down to 10% of what the current shareholding is. So I don't think that's, unless it's such a fantastic acquisition that would economically make sense to do that, I honestly don't see that happening, at least in the immediate future right now.
Good. That's probably what everyone wanted to hear there.
I honestly think that we would create more shareholder value on the current path that we're taking and uplisting to NASDAQ next year.
Yeah, I agree.
That's just my opinion, of course, but I truly believe, if we didn't want to dilute the crap out of ourselves collectively as shareholders, yeah, we won't be doing a reverse merger or a SPAC, which is basically a reverse merger.
Right. Okay, so last question about future acquisitions, or this one's kind of specifically about this new platform, the trading platform. You already said it's not an exchange; it just interfaces with exchange and does the order routing. So does that require licensing as an exchange, or licensing as anything else?
No, so it's not an exchange, so there's no need to license it as an exchange. Just like you have, StockVest or MetaStock trading platforms for your, equity stocks, and they help, execute orders, and they optimize your trading algorithms that you put out there and things like that. This is basically a platform like that. It's just very specialized and highly focused on the crypto market. It also has a unique characteristic of being connected to over 25 different exchanges.
Then the exchanges in your platform become like the market makers.
Correct. So we're, this platform is not a market maker. It is not an exchange. It doesn't take any custody of anyone's tokens at any time. It doesn't settle trades. So it's really I'll just say it's almost like an AI for crypto trading. That's basically what it is. It's like an AI for crypto trading. Just really gives you the best price execution across all the various dozens of exchanges that they're connected to. And it also, you create the rules that you want to trade at under certain algorithms or certain times of the day or certain exchanges that you find, the best liquidity for a given token or token pair. And you set those rules up, and it just performs the trading based upon the rules that you set forth.
Great. So it doesn't sound like there will be any huge obstacles to overcome to get that. But once assuming that the acquisition gets finalized, then that's the last real obstacle to enable this. You don't have to go through any licensing procedures.
Well, they already are, working with some institutions now,
right,
in their current setup. So we're just going to continue on that path, and just keep on optimizing what tools and features it has, where it just makes it better for traders and institutions to trade crypto.
And is there a subscription fee for? I'm assuming that this software is already offered through some channel. So, is there a fee associated with using it, or?
It's principally like a software as a service delivery. So there's a subscription fee, and there's also some sizing that goes with that, depending upon how large the operation is and things like that.
Right. But is that a subscription fee for, the pricing? I mean,
It's just a subscription fee to the software.
Right. But the pricing would be, depending on who, if you're using it individually or commercially, right? That'd be different.
Right now, it's really built for institutions, not necessarily individuals. So, the pricing mechanism is built around that type of audience.
Yeah, it's more complicated than you have two options, right? It's going to be priced almost individually.
Yes. Plus, each institution has its own nuances associated with how their trading setup is done, and what what they want to trade, and so there is some customization that also comes part of it. So that's how it currently works.
Perfect. All right, I will I'll let you off the hook on speaking on this new acquisition that isn't even finalized yet, but really appreciate the details you've been able to give. And I've got one more question that I want to wrap up the main section with, and then we'll have Moon Market unmute and ask his question. And if anyone else in the audience has questions, go ahead and put it in the FERN channel, and we'll see if we can get to them depending on how many there are. So my last question here is, we talked about your vision and your goals to get on NASDAQ soon. So in both of your opinions, what is the biggest obstacles that you'll face between now and uplisting on NASDAQ in order to get there? And how do you plan on navigating those?
Wow, that's a good question. So getting onto NASDAQ, as I mentioned earlier, there's multiple facets to qualifying and being there. From getting your audits financials by a PCAOB auditor and getting those registered with the SEC, to setting up all the proper corporate governance with independent directors and various committees, to having the various either equity standard or the income standard or the revenue standard for listing. So I think as part of that, I would say the biggest obstacle we would probably come up against is just the financing, because the financing fuels the growth for our existing acquisitions and then gives us the fuel to make additional acquisitions, all of which helps us achieve those listing standards. And so I think if we were to peel back to what the least common denominator is for that, it would be raising capital. And that's why we're busting our asses right now to get that underway.
Great, and it sounds like...
But ultimately, we do believe strongly that if we continue to execute our plan and move forward in the way we're moving, it's going to happen. We're confident about it. And the hurdle is just doing it, just getting there. You know what I mean? But we feel confident we can do it.
Yep, it's just gonna to see if you're right and that it's gonna work out. It's just gonna take time. You gotta get there before you know. So I love the confidence, and it's clear that you've got a plan to get there. It's just time to execute it.
Exactly.
All right. So Moon Market, who's got a pretty large following on Twitter and big on FERN, kind of helping spread the word the past few months. He's got a question here for you. And
before he speaks, I'd like to compliment him. We've seen some of his videos, and he's a sharp guy. I'll tell you, he's pretty good. He's pretty good. I got to give him credit.
Yep. So we're glad he's in here and helping to promote this platform that we're hoping to make here.
Yeah, props, Moon Market. You've been awesome, man. Really appreciate the support. Love your videos. You're doing a great job, and here to help and answer any questions you have.
Hey, man, I appreciate it. How you doing, Mark and Chris? Thank you, everybody, for hosting this. So, obviously, I've been an investor, a strong supporter of the company, I think for about 5 months. And, I really enjoyed being an investor, following you guys as you, grown, made, acquisitions, deals, just overall built the company. But I did have one question, as I've been listening to all this. My number one, concern, I'd say, or just, overall question would be to ask more about the NASDAQ goal and, kind of how you plan to get there. I know you kind of already, touched base on this, and you can't really share, whether it's going to be, a reverse split or not to get on the NASDAQ. But do you plan on kind of letting the company grow more organically and kind of, complete the acquisition, sign the deals that you already planned, moving forward, kind of let everything grow more organically before considering a reverse split? Or I'd say what the shareholders would want to hear is, obviously they would want to hear no reverse split, just no reverse split, but if not that, then like kind of a time frame of when you would be doing a reverse split, if that is something you are considering, and if you are actually like planning to do a reverse split, what type kind of would it be? 1 to 3, 1 to 4, 1 to 5, that type of thing. That's
So
pretty much my
again,
question.
certainly, again, appreciate your support, Moon Market. So basically, and it goes to one of our press releases from several months ago. We have really no interest or desire to do a reverse split. The only instance that we would consider it is if it has to be done to accommodate an uplisting to NASDAQ. Period. Right, so
That's like a final step.
That's where that stands. I can't predict where that's going to be, what if we have to do it or not, what ratio of reverse we would have to do at that time. I can't predict where the stock is going to be next year. I'm not going to go there.
Okay.
For us to even go there remotely would probably be a bad decision on our part to discuss that. In that respect, that's kind of where we stand. There's no interest in doing one, but if we have to do it to get it to NASDAQ, that's what we'll do, and that's when we'll do it. And so in terms of getting there, I think the faster route and the way we build true shareholder value quickly is making some real key acquisitions and growing those acquisitions going forward. So it's kind of like taking a stair-step approach, and every time you do one acquisition, you go up the stairs, another level, you do another bigger acquisition, you do another bigger acquisition after that. And so that's basically what we're doing here with Fernhill, Perfect Mind being the first acquisition. This next acquisition, I consider it to be, a pretty awesome acquisition. There's just so many real interesting nuances and characteristics and people on the team and everything else that come with it, that it's just, to us, it's not an acquisition we were expecting to get, but again, it just kind of fell in our lap. And I was talking with a buddy of mine who's affiliated with it, and it just all gelled together at the right time, and here we are. So going forward, I think, making another, 1 or 2 key acquisitions would really kind of help us truly qualify for NASDAQ and put us in that position where, it enables us to uplist with those behind us.
Yep, and I'm really excited to see the next acquisition in November. I did have one more question. I'm not sure if you did touch on this or not, but the relaunch of the Perfect Mind platform, did you touch on that at all? I'm not 100% sure.
Yeah, it was early.
Okay.
We did mention it earlier, and we plan on relaunching the site very soon here. We actually mentioned that in our last press release when we announced Nathaniel coming on board, and with that, we will follow on from that with new features and functionality to the Perfect Mind platform that I think will be very valuable for anyone that's in the mining community. And anybody that's also interested in Fernhill.
All right, sounds good. I appreciate that. That's pretty much all I had for questions. Appreciate you answering them. I definitely do kind of look forward to, reporting, I guess, on the news when it comes to the acquisitions. And I do really look forward to the company kind of growing like organically, with acquisitions, all the deals that you have already planned, all that kind of stuff. Really excited for that, and appreciate it. That's pretty much it. Appreciate y'all.
Awesome. Thank you. Really appreciate it.
Yeah, thanks for jumping in and answering that question, or asking that question, Moon Market, and then answering it so wonderfully, Chris and Mark. And glad that Moon Market was able to hear about this platform, because you sound pretty excited to get on the call here. So I'm being through some of the questions that are being asked right now. Well, that's just a few, and we'll let you go. There's some questions about. I'm not sure if you can answer primary sources of revenue, not currently, but in the long term down the road, as part of your vision to be into the green crypto space, where do you plan on making the money to continue operating through subscription fees to software as a service platforms or through other types of fees?
So and Mark, you can follow up with me on this. We really like the software as a service subscription model. There's nothing better than monthly recurring cash flow coming in that you can go to the bank with every week. We really like that model. Also in terms of where we are positioning ourselves as a company, software as a service typically has higher valuations than someone else that doesn't have that type of finance income revenue model. And so we think software as a service and subscription revenue is going to be a bigger part of our revenue going forward. I think that's certainly one area. Another area, might be something along the lines of the trading platform where they may charge some additional fees for either consulting or advisory work to set up and do all the setup for these institutions. Those are a fairly heavy lift when you're dealing with large institutions and their trading operation. So they're already doing some setup revenue and customization revenue, so that will be a part of it, I think, going forward. Then I think we'll once we do get into the actual mining aspects of or staking aspects of crypto ecosystem, I think creating revenue out of mining or staking is where we'll also see a nice significant revenue piece come in down the road.
Yep, definitely. There's a ton of ways to make revenue in crypto, and there's probably even ways that haven't been invented yet. So, right, just being here in this space is the most important thing.
Well,
it'll get itself.
There's actually some unique aspects of what Perfect Mind does, as well as what this new acquisition has, that I could just say can provide some really unique opportunities for us.
Yep. And what you said in the first place about focusing on software as a service and subscriptions, I'm sure you're already aware of. It seems to me, I don't know if this is completely true or not, but I've seen subscription services kind of taking over things that typically wouldn't be a subscription before, and businesses are doing it because it, one, increases revenue, and two, retains a user base more effectively. And so one example that I've seen this year that kind of got me thinking about software is it's more of a hardware thing, but for printers, instead of buying ink when the cartridge runs out, there's now subscription plans where it gets shipped right to your door when your printer knows that it's low on ink, and it only you pay $5 or $10 a month, and is only going to order it when you need it. So you end up saving money, but in that case, then the company retains its customers to purchase the ink, and so I just wanted to put that out there, maybe for the rest of the call, that this business model of just on subscriptions, while it's not new, crypto is certainly new, and I think the such a strong emphasis on generating revenue through that is really increasing in unconventional ways lately. And so, Chris and Mark, it sounds like you're in the right place at the right time.
I just recently signed up for a printer monthly plan, actually, so I know exactly what you're talking about.
Oh, nice.
Eventually, printers will be free, right? They'll just charge people monthly fee,
Yeah, maybe that's where they're headed. I mean, the printer's already cheaper than the ink if you're just buying it by itself.
And so ultimately, I think I envision us, and we envision ourselves being sort of a one-stop shop for anything crypto, whether you're mining, trading, NFTs, all that, and all sorts of subscriptions and monthly fees, and it's just that's the ultimate goal, to just be one-stop shop for everyone.
Great. Yeah, that's the one-stop shop that even though that's a nice marketing term, it fits here really well and describes your business plan perfectly, I think. So another question here, again, kind of related to the uplisting to NASDAQ. By the fact that you are bringing in and have the backing of some institutional investors, do you can you say personally whether you think it's a more viable solution to do a share reduction to build shareholder value rather than a reverse split? And is that something that obviously you would, or maybe you would try to do that first, do a buyback before a share or before a reverse split's on the table?
So that's an interesting question. So if you do a share buyback, you typically need to have money to buy back the shares, right?
Right.
In order to have the money to buy back the shares, we have to raise money, and so kind of would defeat the purpose to even consider a share buyback in that respect. Because if we're going out to raise money with investors who are going to buy shares, we're just going to go out and buy back our shares. Doesn't make sense.
Right. Yeah. You're not going to.
Doesn't make sense to do that. And actually, there's not like there's big blocks of shares out there that we can just get rid of or cancel. Unless shareholders just want to give away shares and let us cancel them for them.
All right. Well, we'll do a poll and see how many shares we could scrounge up to do that. I'm sure some people would
for that.
Yep. So we'll get back to you on that. But yeah, that makes sense. It's not really going to help in this situation to do a ton of buybacks. It's not even really viable.
Yeah, I mean, the whole concept of a share buyback is for usually larger, more mature companies that have a load of cash and they don't know what to do with it. And so instead of giving out cash dividends, they buy shares back. But those are typically larger, well-established companies that have strong cash flow, that have raised hundreds, if not billions of dollars of capital, and the capital is sitting on their balance sheet burning a hole, and they need to do something with it. So the only way to create supposed value is share buyback or dividend.
Right, and it even though a buyback or reduction is in a way the company in investing in itself, again, that really only applies that doesn't necessarily apply to smaller cap companies, because if that's like a long-term kind of looking 10, 15 years down the road when you're just trying to put the company together now. Right.
Yeah, we understand why people are asking these questions about people are concerned about reverse, of course. And we can't. I think Chris did a really good job answering those questions best he can. We really don't know right now. So all we can say is we're going to be very transparent. We're going to, anybody wants to contact us, email us. We'll get back to you right away. We'll put out tweets. We'll put out news releases. We're going to keep everybody in the loop, as we proceed.
Yep, and it feels like to me that I brought the questions of the very similar questions up the whole time, but that is obviously a very primary concern for shareholders is what's going to happen to the share structure. But I think the way you've elaborated on if a reverse split is on the table, then that's it's only going to be on the table if it helps get on NASDAQ, and it's not going to be a negative thing,
right?
Like it's usually associated with in the OTC. And so I hope people took that away from this call, that even though they're not completely denying the possibility of a reverse split, if there is going to be one, it's going to help the company, and it's going to help the shareholders as well. It's not going to be just like any other company in the OTC, it sounds like. Perfect. Another question that I guess Marc had said he forgot to ask was if both of you plan on making personal Twitter accounts outside of the FERN Twitter.
I actually have one, but I really don't use it much, so I already have one.
So not very useful to follow it.
No.
Sounds like. All right. or Marc too, or anyone, anyone else at Fernhill. I mean, on the team.
Probably not.
Yeah.
And we don't control what other people do with their own personal social media. That's up to them.
One thing we on our Fernhill Twitter, we don't just like maybe some other OTC companies. We don't just keep putting out fluff tweets. We want to put out very select, meaningful tweets.
And I think that's where this question comes from. Is a lot of other OTC companies have it's honestly confusing. I think a lot of times where you've got the company Twitter, maybe an old company Twitter handle, and then you've got every employee has a Twitter, and updates are scattered across different accounts, and not all of them or most of them are fluff, right? So it's that makes it difficult to decide whether or not to invest in the first place if you can't even get a straight answer.
All of our anything Fernhill's coming right from the Fernhill Twitter handle. I'm not really active on Twitter, and quite frankly, Marc and I have better things to do. We have a lot of things on our plate. We have
awesome.
pretty big track we have to run on here, and there's a lot of stuff we have to get done, and playing on Twitter is not one of them.
That's exactly what I wanted to hear. Honestly, that you've got better things to do, because you really do, and you don't need to be playing around on Twitter.
And all of our news releases at the bottom, we list all the links to the Twitter, the Facebook, the website, and we point out that any other place in these that you get information, it's not coming from Fernhill.
Yep. Yeah. It feels official, and that's how it should feel. You don't want to cheapen your press releases by spreading them out on unofficial accounts and making too many of them.
We don't do that.
Right, exactly.
There's really no need to, actually. So.
No. Your PR is strong enough and honestly frequent enough already that I think, especially in conjunction with this call, people have a good idea of what Fernhill is working on now and what they're planning for in the next few months in the short term. So I think the social media, how Fern's handled it, has been phenomenal, and you just stick to that. You don't need to be giving us updates on a personal Twitter.
Right.
Maybe we could.
When we're looking to be on NASDAQ, so if and that's our goal. We have to act like we're on NASDAQ.
Yep.
And playing the game of personal Twitters and this and that all over the universe, it doesn't help us. It doesn't really help our cause, bigger picture, longer term. And so, why do it if it's not going to create value or help?
Right. And if you're going to interact with investors, you'll do it through the company's Twitter, or in a platform like this. Where you're speaking directly, not through the internet like that. You would probably just get the same questions every day. You probably already do on the FERN Twitter, right?
We get multiple emails every day through the website.
Mm-hmm. So everyone in this call, I don't want to overload your inbox, but really, if you do have a question, my experience so far with Chris is he's very responsive, and you'll probably get your answer, but probably maybe just to save them time, come check in here first to see if your question was probably answered in this call or in recent press releases.
That's correct.
All right. So I don't see. But actually, I see one more question. I'll make this the last one, unless an incredibly amazing question comes through in the next minute. But have you thought at all about crypto wallet? Maybe that's part of one of the softwares you already have, or a future vision, or alongside of that with a Fernhill wallet, maybe creating your own token of sorts for whatever reason?
That's a great question. So, when you say wallet, I mean that you can go down several avenues on that, right? Is it a hard wallet? Is it a software wallet? Is it a cold wallet? What's the user base going to be for that wallet? So, we've actually looked at a wallet solution and declined on it. So I can say on that, but I'll say we're open to it. One of the things that I think we're at least going to stay away from right now is having any custody to anyone's Bitcoin or tokens. I think having custody or having the actual tool that provides custody creates a certain level of liability that I don't think we're willing to take on at this point. That's just my personal view. I think it's a business decision that I think just kind of keeps us safe as a company. Because if anything were to happen with that wallet, or if it were to get cracked open or hacked in some fashion or whatever it may be, that puts a really big target on us.
Oh yeah.
I'd rather not go there now if we don't have to, and I really don't think we have to.
Yeah,
that doesn't say that we won't have some kind of wallet technology or partner with a wallet provider. But us to really create or launch or acquire a wallet product right now, I don't think it makes sense for us.
It takes an absurd level of security, and basically verification of that security in order to release your own wallet and ensure that you're not going to damage the reputation of your company at some point down the road. And even in just in the first 10 years of the crypto space, that there's so many stories you can find about this exchange got hacked or this service got hacked, and if you're not holding custody, there's nothing to hack, right?
Right.
Yep, and that's perfect. There's tons of wallets already out there, and you could use a web wallet. It sounds like with Perfect Mine and the trading platform, as long as you just need your wallet address, so it doesn't matter what wallet you're using.
Right. Exactly.
All right, and follow up on that last part. Any plans for a FERN coin?
Again, a similar situation. When we're creating a token and it goes into, we're actually creating the coin and it goes into custody where someone else is an owner of it. It also puts a big target on us where we have to have basically full-time security staff monitoring every minute of the day what's happening with our network and that token. So as of now, no. But I think if there's a good opportunity to do that and it makes sense, it's possible. What I've noticed with a lot of companies is that they have a great software product or they have a great service, and they get enamored by the whole concept of launching a token. And once they do that, the business takes a turn. You're changing your business model and you're all about the token and trying to sustain value in the token.
Yep.
And so, I think while it might create some initial value, I think it would really dilute what we're really focused on, what we're really building in terms of, software solutions that are meaningful and create value and huge utility for the crypto ecosystem. It brings in consistent cash flow. I think a token, while attractive and exciting, doesn't fit into our model right now. But again, we're pretty open-minded, and if we see there's a really unique and awesome opportunity to do something like that in the future, we certainly can do that.
That is an incredibly grounded answer. It's easy right now. All these different tokens are popping up left and right, and that's where a lot of the hype is for people just getting into crypto. They're trying to find the next big Bitcoin or whatever, and that the market is way oversaturated, and unless the coin has a specific use case, usually doesn't make it very far, and there's just no point to it. So I'm glad you're not getting distracted there, and I really don't see how that, like you said, how that fits into what you're trying to do right now. It seems like a side topic to that.
Right, it is, and I think honestly it can be a distraction for what we're really focused on, and also it also comes with a whole new level of scrutiny with the SEC. And if we issue it, do a coin offering or a token offering or whatever the ICO or IEO, whatever the current moniker is for offering a coin to the public.
Right.
The SEC is really starting to clamp down on that, and I'd rather not convolute what we're doing and what we're focused on. We have enough on our plate, and we're focusing on uplisting to NASDAQ. Issuing a token is going to create a lot of questions out of NASDAQ and the SEC. So rather not go there if we don't have to.
Yeah, definitely. And you don't want to end up being the case study for why regulation went wrong in the crypto space.
Right.
Yep. All right, Chris and Marc, both really huge thanks. This was incredibly insightful into the team running the company and where the potential for it to go is. And I hope that everyone that tuned in today, we had 120 people at one point, that they're walking away from this feeling like they learned a lot, because that's how I'm feeling. And maybe down the road, once some more developments take place, we could have both of you back here for a follow-up, maybe after this acquisition in November happens, and you can talk a little bit more on that, and once you have more to share with us.
That'd be great.
Perfect.
Love that.
All right. I won't keep you here any longer. If you have any closing statements that you want to share with the shareholders here, I'll let you do that, and then we'll sign off.
So the only thing I really have to say is thank you guys, all our shareholders. We love you. You're awesome. Your support for Fernhill has just been really energizing to Marc and I, and it's part of why we wake up excited every morning. And I'm just very thankful for that, and very grateful that we have Fernhill as a platform to help really kind of do what we want to do in terms of building value and creating something special. So thank you for that opportunity.
Yeah, and I concur. Yeah, the shareholders get us motivated, get us up and ready to go, because we're doing this, for them as well as us. But I think it makes it a lot easier when you have good people following on board, and we're excited, and we're can't wait to see what happens in the next few months. I think we're all going to be happy about it.
Thank you. Thank you both, and everyone that was here on the call. Go share your enthusiasm with Chris and Marc on the Fernhill Twitter if you can. And we look forward to seeing the developments over the next few months.